Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Pooja Bansal and this is my ninth video. In some of my previous videos, I've discussed about my some gynae topics. And today's topic of discussion is most important, that is menstruation. And I'm going to discuss about HPO axis, ovarian and uterine cycles, and the whole cycle with the hormonal changes. Okay, what is menstruation? Menstruation is cyclical bleeding that occurs every 28 days. Let's try to understand by this diagram. As you can see, these are ovaries. This will release the ova every month. And this ova will travel through fallopian tube entering the uterine cavity. As you know, ova and inner lining of the uterus prepare themselves for the pregnancy. But if pregnancy doesn't take place, ova along with the inner lining of the uterus will shed off and it will lead to bleeding or menses. What is HPO axis? In hypothalamus, arcuate nucleus will release gonadotropin releasing hormone. This will work on anterior pituitary or gonadotrophs. This will further lead to release of luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone. These will work on gonads, leading to release of estrogen and progesterone. But how do these ovaries synthesize these hormones? For this, we have to understand the structure of ovarian follicle. As you can see, ovarian follicle contain oocyte in the center, surrounded by two type of cell. One is granulosa cell, that is of cuboidal shape, and they are further surrounded by theca cells that are flat in nature. On the right side of the picture, you can see theca cells. Theca cells have LH receptor on their surface, and when LH bind with the LH receptor, LDL cholesterol get converted into androgen. And this androgen goes to granulosa cells, and when FSH bind with the FSH receptor on granulosa cell, this androgen get converted into estrogen via the enzyme aromatase. Let's discuss about ovarian cycle. As you know, ovarian cycle consists of two phases. First half is follicular phase, in between on day 14 ovulation, then luteal phase which remain constant and it's approx 14 days. Follicular phase started by growth of follicles initiated by follicular stimulating hormone that is secreted by anterior pituitary. In this, primordial follicle get converted into primary follicle and primary follicle will convert it into secondary follicles. Then secondary follicle get converted into Graafian, also called as pre-ovulatory follicle. This will lead to release of estrogen, and estrogen peak will lead to LH surge. Then ovulation will take place, and after ovulation corpus luteum formed, and this will release progesterone, and if pregnancy doesn't take place, corpus luteum will regress and corpus albicans will be formed, and then menses will take place. Let's revise it quickly. As you can see, growth of follicles is initiated by follicular stimulating hormone, and these follicles secrete estrogen. And final maturation of the follicle and ovulation is take place by luteinizing hormone. And let's discuss about the corpus luteum. What is corpus luteum? It is basically composed of luteinized granulosa and theca cells. Means granulosa and theca cells of corpus luteum will have LH receptor on their surface, and this will secrete progesterone. Let's discuss about the uterine cycle. Uterine cycle also consists of two phases. Proliferative phase is first half, and second or later half is secretory phase. Proliferative phase is influenced by estrogen, and it will lead to increase in the thickness of endometrium. And on histology, we can see the glands are narrow and of tubular shape, and stroma is loose and syncytial. And if we discuss about secretory phase, which is influenced by progesterone secreted by corpus luteum. In this, lining becomes highly vascular and edematous. And on histology, first change we will observe is subnuclear vacuolation. Means there will be development of vacuole beneath the nucleus. And late secretory changes will be corkscrew shaped glands, stromal edema, and leukocytic infiltration. So this was my ovarian plus uterine cycle. Let's discuss what happens if the pregnancy doesn't take place. Suppose pregnancy doesn't take place. Corpus luteum will regress, means luteolysis. It will lead to progesterone withdrawal, which will release enzyme and prostaglandin, which will auto-digest the functionalis layer of endometrium and lead to bleeding or menses. But what are the mechanism? How does the bleeding stops? Okay, let's try to understand this via picture. As you can see, endometrium is divided into two parts. Superficial 2/3 is functionalis layer of endometrium supplied by spiral arteries, and deeper 1/3 is basalis layer of endometrium supplied by basal arteries. When functionalis layer of endometrium shed off, this will lead to vasoconstriction in the spiral arterioles, and normal clotting mechanism at the level of endometrium will start. And basalis layer of endometrium will regenerate, and these three mechanisms lead to stoppage of bleeding. Let's discuss about our menstrual cycle. As you know, it started when GnRH pulses are there. After this, primordial follicles which are already present in the ovary get rescued by follicular stimulating hormone, and this will release estrogen in low amount along with inhibin B, and this will lead to negative feedback on pituitary, and this will lead to decrease in the level of follicular stimulating hormone. And except dominant follicle having the maximum follicular stimulating hormone receptor, other follicle will die. And this dominant follicle will release estrogen in high amount, leading to the estrogen peak. This will send the positive pituitary feedback, and this will lead to LH surge and rise in the FSH level. And after LH surge, ovulation will take place on day 14 of the cycle. And after ovulation, corpus luteum will form, which will release progesterone in high amounts. And along with progesterone, it leads to release of inhibin B, relaxin, and estrogen. Progesterone and inhibin B will lead to negative feedback on pituitary, which will lead to declining of FSH as well as LH surges. And then corpus luteum regresses, and this will lead to decline in the level of progesterone as well as estrogen. And this will further lift off the negative feedback on pituitary, or you can say positive feedback will start, then FSH will rise again, and then cycle will start again. So in short, we have to remember estrogen peak lead to LH surge, LH surge lead to ovulation, after ovulation corpus luteum lead to progesterone peak on day 21 or 22 day of cycle, and after this negative feedback will take place, and FSH, LH along with estrogen progesterone will decrease. Hope you like my video. I tried my best to make understand about menstrual cycle, and please do give me the feedback, and thank you.